Our next storyteller, can we get a slow clap going for Kate? Kate here!
Thank you very much. 25 different artist markets. They're in venues all around Chicago, but primarily bars. And I'm new to Chicago. I've only been here for about 2 years. And this is a really great way to learn about the city and find some amazing watering holes. Now, Chicago bars seem to me to fall into two categories. One, the trendy place, the place that makes their own IPAs, the place with the mixologist who says it's in the daiquiri realm. Or you run into what I would call old school neighborhood bars. The place that hasn't been updated in the 30, 50, 70 years since they opened. The place that you're on your phone trying to find this place and you walk by it twice because your phone keeps directing you to an empty storefront. The place that, there's no signage anywhere on the bar except an old style sign out front. These are the old school bars. And one of the things all the old school bars have is a liquor that I never heard of called Malort.
Oh.
You guys have heard of it, okay. So I was doing artist markets and I would see these signs, happy hour, the Chicago handshake, old style and a shot of Malort for $6. Or I'd go to a bar and behind the bartender there'd be a sign, don't hate on Malort.
Yeah.
So one of the artist markets I was at, I saw the sign behind one of the bartenders. It's an old school neighborhood bar, and the sign said, only true Chicagoans like Malort.
Oh.
So I go back to where all the other artists in the market are, and I say, hey, what's Malort? And all of the vendors, they got this conspiratorial grin on their face, like, oh, you haven't tried it? And I couldn't get a clear answer on what Malort was. Some people told me it's the water that pools in the street around cars in mid-March. Another person told me that the person that created it was a heavy smoker, and he wanted a liquor that he could taste, so he made one out of grapefruit juice. And then the third one that I heard is that during Prohibition, Malort was the one alcohol that was not banned because it was both medicinal and a cleaning agent. And my friends, the fellow vendors, they were like, do you want to try a shot? And I'm like, no, I've declined. But there's another vendor with me, and she had never heard of Malort either, so she's like, I'll take that shot. And so she tried it, she downed it. She didn't move for a full minute. And she sat there holding the shot, and then she said, yeah, that's terrible. Now this scared me off of Malort. I didn't want to try it at all. My alcohol beverages of choice are usually wine and cider. I can't drink beer. Usually the stronger things that I'll do a margarita on Cinco de Mayo. I'll do cognac at Christmas. And I know when I tell people I like cognac, everybody's like, oh, pour one for me, one for my homies. And I'm like, no. See, I used to work for a French company. I was in the American division, and the French company was headquartered in the Bordeaux region. Wine, which is well known for its wine. But the people that I worked with, they weren't drinking wine, they were drinking cognac. And what they did is they taught me how to drink cognac. What you do is you get a shot-sized glass of cognac, you pour just a little bit, you touch your lips and the tip of your tongue. And when you have enough liquor in your mouth, you put your tongue on the top of the roof of your mouth and you inhale. And when you do this, you can actually taste all kinds of flavor notes, like cinnamon and berry and grape. It's really good. I recommend that you do this. And you should do this, actually. I did a tequila tasting, and that's with a big group of people, and everybody's just like, oh, tequila, doing a shot. And I did this cognac, and I was tasting it, and I could taste blue agave. And at one point, I got even so good that I could taste the oak barrel that they seasoned it in. But back to Malort. So, in December, my boyfriend and I went to Simon's Tavern in Andersonville. And it's the same day as the anniversary of them repealing the Prohibition Act. And so we got some spiced mulled wine. Bartender behind her was a bottle of Malort on the counter. And I said to her, I said, how bad is Malort? And she said, well, what do you like to drink? And I told her, and she said, oh, cognac. You might be okay with Malort. So she got me a shot of Malort, and I thought, I'll just drink it like cognac. I'll just like wet my lips and my tongue. I did this, and I realized I made a terrible mistake. Malort is not a liquor, it's battery acid with grapefruit. And my first thought on this is, what were you thinking? This is not something born of French vineyards. It's not from a Mexican agave farms. It's not even in the daiquiri realm. This is Chicago, stormy, brawling. It's the kind of thing, this is where we're the city where people died. We made illicit hooch and it was tinged with blood. We were the city where people died to both sell and buy a drink. And so I'm thinking of all this as my mouth is on fire. It's seeping, it's seeping from the roof of my mouth into my sinuses, burning my throat. I sputter and cough, and the bartender is like, just a minute. She doesn't want me to throw up, so she gets me a Coke. I drink the Coke with the Malort, and the Coke mellows the acidity of the Malort. Now this sounds terrible, right? Everybody's had that shot of Malort and sputtered and coughed. I felt, after I drank the Malort, I felt amazing. We were in Simon's and they were playing Christmas music, and I started to sing along loudly. I can't sing. And so my boyfriend kind of ushered me out of Simon's and into Andersonville, and it was like it was night, it was cold, and it was like refreshing. And all of Andersonville, they had their lights up and like their pine boughs, and it was beautiful. I was like walking around and I was saying, oh my God, isn't it beautiful? Isn't it beautiful? I love Chicago. And it made me think of the line, there's a Carl Sandburg poem, and he talks about Chicago. He says, show me another city with lifted head, singing so proud to be alive. And clearly, before writing that, Carl Sandburg had had a shot of Malort. And the effects of the Malort eventually wore off, but what remained was that for the first time, I felt like a real Chicagoan. Thank you.
Yeah.